Hey, what's up? This is Ben from TSO. Today I want to walk you through the process of manufacturing, powder coating, and installing the dual steering stabilizer kit for the 05 and up Super Duties. These work on the F250s and F350s, like I said, from the 05 to the 22 Super Duties. So we just got some cut and bent, and Dave's about to finish one up with welding. So let's go over here and check it out. Oh no, this one's done already. So as you can see here, we've got this one welded. They're made from 1/4 inch steel, or fully gusseted 1/4 inch steel, and you can see how we have the two gussets underneath the part. We didn't want anything on top, that way it creates a seamless look whenever it's installed on your truck. And we have the gussets strategically placed so that whenever you're turning your wheels, that the bracket itself is not going to twist and wobble and move around, because we do have them strategically placed. And they're as far forward as we can get them without touching the tie rod. And you see these are the outer shock clamps, and they're made out of a 3/8 steel with a spacer. That way you get, because we wanted to ensure that the shocks would be perfectly level, or you can say parallel to the ground, instead of having them slightly angled up or down. And adding this spacer in the middle allows us to do that. Now let's take them to go get powder coated. We're getting finished up in the oven, so let's get them taken out and set them aside so we can go get them assembled and installed on the truck. Good. The assembly process on the dual steering stabilizer is quite simple, because all we have to do is bolt on the logo. So I like to put it on here, just get it started, where I don't have to hold it down there as much, and then this last screw. All right, and that's how we assemble the dual steering stabilizers. Now let's get under the truck and get this thing installed. The first thing we need to do is take 2 of the 9/16 bolts off of the side of the diff cover. Now that we've got those 2 bolts out, we grab the main bracket and we slide it in over here to the side. This screw in here just so it gives me a rough location of where this is going to go. So I'm just getting these threaded in so that way maybe the bracket will hold itself up. So then I grab this piece, and this is the clamp that goes on the back side of the axle. We do this instead of, unlike most other companies who just use U-bolts. U-bolts are cheap and fine, but they're not great, and they don't make for a high quality product. And so we form these out of 1/4 inch steel, and they wrap around the axle. And with these, you get the 3 points of contact, so you're going to have a much stronger. So with these, you're going to have a much stronger connection than you will with a U-bolt. With only those two little bolts holding on, you have a full 3-inch width of connection. Now I'm putting all these bolts in here with finger tight. That way I get them all started, and then I can come back in with the impact. On that one, I forgot the washer. And this is the final bolt. So I'm getting these started pretty far. You don't want to go too far, because then if you tighten up the top too much, then the bottom's not going to want to. It won't go in as much as it needs to. So I'm going to get these two. They're roughly the same. And then once you get the back 4 bolts tightened up, you want to move to the front of the diff. And on this, you want to be careful not to over tighten, because it's very easy to strip the threads out in your axle. And do not ever use an impact on this, because to be honest with you, one time I did it and I stripped it out, and we had to end up re-tapping the hole, and it was just not a good ordeal. Then after we get those 2 bolts tightened, we move to the tie rod mounts. And now that we've got the main bracket mounted, the next thing we have to do are attach the tie rod brackets. So that's what these go on the bottom of the tie rod, and these go on the top. And this is what clamps the tie rod together. We do this just like on the axle side. We don't use any U-bolts. Sorry, not U-joints. U-bolts. We use our fabricated from 1/4 inch steel. That way, now this gives you 2.5 inches of contact plus the 3 other points of contact, whereas U-bolt will generally give you. It might give you 3 points of contact, but it's on 3/8 wide. So this will give you much more contact, and which decreases the likelihood that this is going to move over time. And then whenever I'm installing the tie rod brackets, I like to put these 2 back bolts on, and go ahead and put your washers and everything on. And these you just want to put a couple turns on the bolt, because this will allow you to then slide this on. And that way you now have something to hold instead of you trying to fish these bolts in there and trying to get the hold or to stay in the right position. So now I can just put these on. And the position of these will change. This is what's going to get set whenever we go to put the shocks on. So for right now, we can just leave these like that, mounted onto the bar. And before you tighten them down, you want to position them right after the bend in the tie rod, and then you can just tighten it from there. To get the shocks mounted up, it's the easiest to go full lock to one way and put that shock in on the mount on the other side, and you may have to adjust this mount side to side just to give you enough clearance for whenever you go full lock. And then you repeat the same thing on the other side, and then after you get that all installed, then you can go for a test drive. First impressions, there's a big difference in the amount of slop as there was compared to this morning before we got this installed. Right now there's almost no slop, and even hitting a few bumps, the steering wheel's not moving. So the best thing about these stabilizers is not only do they function well, but they look great too, because we designed them to enhance your build and not just be a part that just functions. We wanted it to be a part that you can show off, and we wanted to make them to where they function. So the 1/4-inch steel construction with no U-bolts and us making the 1/4-inch clamps to then replace U-bolts makes one of the highest quality dual steering stabilizer kits on the market. And with this you have the ability to choose any shock you want, so you can get it really dialed into the quality and the amount of functionality that you want. So like, comment, subscribe to this video if you want to see more from us. And also, if you're needing to enhance your steering, head on over to TSO.co to order one for your build.